If testimony presented causes me to determine that he is not a resident of Bedford County, his voter registration record will be canceled. I need to advise you that the code does allow me to hear testimony and to continue this hearing for up to 30 days. However, I know that this is something that everyone wants a decision on, and it is my intent to make a decision and make the announcement this week.
But I just want to speak to you as a group this morning, because sometimes our voices have been silent. We have been asked by many people to bring this before this electoral board, this issue of dealing with voter integrity on whether Tim Griffin has established a legal residence here in Bedford County. And after listening to many, we said we would do it. When you run for a political office, your life is an open book. And everywhere you work, you're writing the story of your life. Your character and your moral values are being established. An attorney who has talked about election integrity should know how to establish a legal residence. It's not hard. The people who disagree with you in this room should never be silenced. We want a candidate to represent the citizens of the 53rd District who stands for the law. And that's why we had attorneys draft this.
The applicable Virginia regulation defines domicile as a person's primary home. Notably, however, Mr. Griffin does not actually reside in the home located at 102 North Woodfin Court. Rather, he is supposedly living in a detached garage on the property. But as discussed above, that detached garage does and cannot legally constitute a dwelling for living purposes as determined by the Bedford County Department of Community Development. Mr. Griffin's voter registration should be canceled because he cannot demonstrate that he had the requisite intent to make the 102 North Woodfin Court address his domicile.
Ms. Gunter, this is an appalling case. That you would have citizens and voters come in here and try to disenfranchise somebody over a political issue is disgusting. What has happened here, it should never happen to anyone. Recently I've worked as an attorney fighting for clean and fair elections. And all over the country, I see people trying to disenfranchise other voters based off of political reasons. Right to vote is a constitutional right that shall not be infringed.
Under the law.
And for people to try to come in here and disenfranchise a voter for disagreeing with them politically, I think it's unheard of. But what is happening today is extraordinary, in that Ms. Jones calls for this government office to disenfranchise a fellow voter, take away his constitutional right to be allowed to vote. And that is disgusting. If we were in court, I would have done a motion to dismiss, because there's no evidence. There's just opinions by some malcontents. When I announced that I was running for office, I had no idea what my political opponents, the length that my political opponent would go to try to disenfranchise me and seek power. And it's my belief that those willing to do anything for power must be kept away from it at all costs. What Ms. Jones didn't mention is that she's a financial contributor to my political opponent's campaign. What Mr. Toms didn't mention is that I believe at least 2 of these members are going to show up as people who have registered to support my opponent at the May 6th convention at Jefferson Ford. They want to criminalize their political opponents, but bring the full force of the government and the law against them over a political disagreement. This is not what should happen in a free country.
Today, and I assure you that I will give due consideration to all of the testimony and the evidence that's been presented prior to making a decision. I do have an opportunity to follow up on things that were presented today, but I want to make sure that we're comparing what's been presented with the Code of Virginia, the Virginia Administrative Code, and the policies and procedures that are established by the State Board of Elections. I can assure you that is what my decision will be based upon. At this point, I would like to say that I want to continue this hearing. I feel like I can have a decision made by Wednesday of this week.